Thank you. Well, we're here to tell you about a story. Not long ago, in a former life, I, Joe Nickson, was suspected of robbing 27 banks successfully by the age of 22 years old.
And I, Vincent Bragg, ran a $300 million drug empire, which essentially is frowned upon in the United States and was indicted by the United States of America and sent to prison.
Like Vincent, I too was sent to prison. I was sentenced to 240 months, which is equivalent to 20 years for that sentence. And during that time, I was reintroduced to myself. In the streets, I went by the moniker of Grease because I was slick, charismatic, and I had to get reintroduced to Joe. And I was like, I remembered that I was what they call a sapiosexual. I was attracted to intelligence. I loved to read. I was always a great student. So I got in that area and I was just finding myself. And I ran into a group of people at this time, and Vincent happened to be one of those.
So yeah, while we were in prison, great minds think alike. We kind of hosted these think tanks every Tuesday and Thursday where we would, kick around ideas. We would strengthen the ideas. We would launch businesses from prison based on this core group of friends that we had. As a part of that, during our prison stay, we happened to be in prison with the founder of this underwear company.
So during this time, we have a television rooms in prison, and they're segregated by color, and we're in what you call the black television room, where one television stays on CNN, one stays on Fox News, one stays on ESPN, and one is miscellaneous. Well, this day, there's one story that happens to be on all of the televisions, and it's about a Dallas Cowboys running back by the name of Joseph Randle. Joseph Randle has been charged with shoplifting. Now, first of all, it doesn't make sense to me. Why is a running back for the Dallas Cowboys shoplifting? So, of course, we read the story and we dig into it. Well, his son is actually going through his terrible twos. He's been shopping in the mall all day. His son has a tantrum. To calm him down, he goes outside. He didn't pay for a couple of items. They make a big deal out of it. Well, happen to be in here with my dear friend now, Jonathan Shokrian, who's the founder of Me Undies. And I tell him, I say, Jonathan, we need to do something with this. Matter of fact, you need to sign this guy. You need to pay this fine, and we need to turn this negative into a positive and tell the story right here. This is a startup company. Just imagine convincing somebody over the phone that you're taking marketing advice from a guy in prison. After a little bit of wrist turning, we turn on, and there is national news, what they call going viral. Stephen A. Smith is talking about it. Adam Schefter, it's in the Wall Street Journal. Everybody is talking about this guerrilla marketing technique that is just amazing. And we need to celebrate.
So I think during this 2 days that I had what Joe here calls the Moses moment, where I went to the mountain and really thought about a business model based on what just happened, right? Seeing our ideas manifest themselves in the real world. I come back down to the valley, if you will, and we walked the track together. I remember this like it was yesterday. I asked a very specific question. When you see a commercial, a McDonald's commercial, who do you think's doing that? And his answer was
McDonald's.
Right? You would think that's McDonald's, and I'm like, no. McDonald's hires people to come up with ideas, campaigns to make these commercials and these ads. And so he's like, we could do that. And I'm like, duh, yeah. Like, duh, that's what I'm getting at, right? This is what I'm getting at. And so we started to view each other differently, right? We started thinking about all of the jobs that it takes to make a 30-second commercial. I didn't look at him as a bank robber anymore. I started looking at him as a strategist.
I didn't look at Vincent as a drug dealer. I looked at him as a logistics manager. Someone can get this from there, not getting caught, kind of amazing.
And so when you start to think about that, these tattoo artists in prison, they're not tattoo artists, they're art directors, right? These poets, they're not poets, they're copywriters, right? So where do you come up with taglines? This is probably somebody who knows how to write and put words together. And so that's what we did. We built an advertising agency that's literally powered by incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men and women across the country. once we put this whole organization together, I get sprung loose from prison. So March 1st of 2016, I came home from federal prison where I joined a entrepreneurship program called Defy Ventures. So shout out to Defy Ventures because they gave me the game. They showed me how to start a business. They gave me the fundamentals of things that I probably naturally knew, but now I have the technical vernacular or whatever to navigate. And so I received excellent mentorship, right? I believe I had more mentors than anybody in the program. And one of my mentors ended up introducing me to a person named Tim Jones over at 72 on Sunny, which is like a really huge global ad agency. And so they got it, right? They believed in what we were doing. They understood the necessity for these voices to be represented in this industry, and they got behind us. They literally, put some money behind us. They helped us with our visual identity. They launched us into the media. In 2019, we went global.
In 2019, I happened to be sprung loose. Imagine being released after 17 years, 6 months, and being thrust into the media scene. So I don't even know how to turn on my iPhone, first of all, but I have a podcast, I have interviews in Entrepreneur Magazine, I have Fast Company, I'm getting briefs. Everything is fast forward. All the while, I am in the halfway house.
Yeah.
Trying to just be reacclimated. And it's like, I always use that analogy, just like learning how to parachute, just jump it out there, figure it out, guy. But you know what? I was equipped for it. We were ready for it. And then it's now. And thank you again to 72 and Sunny. As you can see, some of our work, we've been written up everywhere. And we're doing these things, and we're in the intersection of passion and purpose right now. And it's not work because we wake up feeling wonderful every day to get to it.
So when we say we went global, we've had 9 governments from all over the world reach out wanting us to be a reentry program in their prison, which we think is hella funny because 3 of the countries we can't even go in because we felons.
Thanks, Australia.
They won't even let us come in, right? You know what I mean? So we've had the privilege of working with some of the biggest brands on planet Earth, from Adidas to Lego to Facebook, Trojan, like really folks that believed in us and gave us a shot because we did this kind of backwards. We came in and said, hey, we're dope. Give us a shot with no real portfolio. You know what I mean? We didn't have a portfolio of work to show folks. And so we say this all the time, not bad for a couple guys that just came home from prison, right?
Kind of not bad, is it?
Our first client was, a small little shop called Rock Nation. I don't know if y'all heard of them, but Rock Nation came for us. And we ended up working with one of their artists, Casanova, who had a project coming out called Behind These Scars, right? And so they wanted us to do some creative against, how to market, whatever. And we came up with this idea of therapy is kind of frowned upon in the Black community. He's a formerly incarcerated human. Behind these scars, we wanted to just not talk about his physical scars, but we wanted to talk about the emotional and mental scars that come from living that type of life. And so we got an actual therapist. We created these therapy sessions where he actually got a chance to sit down and work through some of the issues. So it was like a 4-part docuseries that we did on the marketing side of this. Mike Tyson happens to be a friend of mine, and it was voting season. I'm like, I'm getting ready to vote. He like, you can't vote? I'm like, I can vote. Like, what you mean? Like, you could vote too. He like, in 23 years, what is it, 33 years? 33 years he didn't know he couldn't vote. So I'm like, you know what? This is important for us to tell the world. So we created a PSA with Mike Tyson where he's actually letting folks know, really do the research and understand what's going on in your state because you probably can vote.
Really, you can. Everyone always tells us about like your dream brief. Mm-hmm. And we always we're like, of course we can do everything. No. Well, this happened to be one. So we had the opportunity to work with TBS on the Tracy Morgan show, The Last OG. And if you're familiar with the show, Tracy Morgan is formerly incarcerated, did 15 years in the feds, started a food truck. He's an entrepreneur. You have to turn to entrepreneurship. No one's gonna hire you anyway. So the story goes, but for season 4, concreates. is hired to do the promo. And we came up with a concept, the real OGs.
We talk about marketing, right? Advertising. We talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is like a huge topic in the corporate world. But when we talk about true diversity and inclusion, formerly incarcerated folks are not even included in this conversation. There is no pathway for us when you think about diversity and inclusion. And so what we bring to the table is true diversity and inclusion. We're like one of those companies where your criminal history actually gets you the job. Like, that's what we're curious about. Like, what did you do? What was the level of sophistication that it took to pull that off? And how can we transfer that into something like advertising?
Our tagline, we found the company on the belief system that creativity without opportunity leads to criminality. I happen to come from the same neighborhood as Nipsey Hussle. All of this brilliance is sitting in this area. These individuals like myself are not dumb. I happen to carry a 3.5 all the time while I was gangbanging, doing all kind of other stuff. School was very easy. You telling me we're gonna do a test about this? You're giving me the answers already, like it's very simple. But all of these individuals are over here and they need these chances, and it's on us to create these opportunities. If it's on us to bring these corporations and show them that they have a gift, like, just give them a chance, and we're going to be that bridge for such.
I think we all know the stats, right? 1 out of every 3 human beings in this country has a criminal record, right? 2.3 million people incarcerated. For us, it's like a $80 billion loss in economics by just locking everybody up and not realizing that there's these gifts that they all possess, right? And so how do we start to think about, first off, the way we incarcerate, but also, like, when you think about, like, my cousin, he'll call me and he'll say, my son's acting up in school, they're calling him the class clown. I'm like, take him to a comedy show.
Teach him how to write.
Teach him how to write.
Encourage.
Like,
Gifts.
The things that become inconvenient for us are usually the gift that someone else possesses, right? And so that's what this is about. We are literally about looking at that thing that human beings say that's flawed about you, and we're saying, look, they taught us how to read in school. They never taught us how to read between the lines.
Never.
So when we interact with each other as human beings, how do we begin to read between the lines about someone? And that's how we innovate marketing.
Given our unique perspective. So as we entered the space, we were having a problem knocking on doors. Mm-hmm. Like, we have a dope idea, we're concrete, hey, we're dope, give us a shot. Wasn't happening, so we decided to pivot. And by pivoting, we started partnerships with other agencies that had the clients that we wanted to work with and convinced them that, like, we're the secret weapon. Mm-hmm. Like, just plug us in when you can. And that ended up being priceless. So now we're doing, like, partnerships because we're not exclusive to anyone. Like, it's like being a musician. You can work with everyone. Let's do dope shit together.
A part of that journey, we started to work with agencies, plugging in. That's how we worked with Trojan. That's how we worked with Adidas. But we also worked directly with clients because some of these folks, like Rock Nation or what you call them, the artists formerly known as Facebook, they'll reach out to us and, actually done amazing things for us. Like, they got us the rate, like, that everybody gets, right? Because in the beginning, it was like, oh, y'all formerly incarcerated, so the work somehow should be cheaper. Like, no, actually, it should be more. When you think about, we got distances to travel when it comes to the gap in work history. So we started innovating, like literally innovating and integrating into this system, and now we have become the darlings of the industry. Join us on our mission.
Please.
To change the narrative and the stigma of how society views people with criminal history, but also how people with criminal history view themselves. At one point in my life, that's all I thought I would ever do was sell drugs.
I thought I was gonna have to resort back to, like, doing things like that. And in that very moment, when we did that, it was lightning in a bottle. So we know that was our destiny when we made national news from sitting inside of a federal prison.
So yeah, thank you.
Oh, we need one mic. You know.